listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
אתם מקשיבים למוח שלכם בשידור. התוכנית תתחיל בקרוב. תהנו.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I'm your host, Oliver Larson. Folks, Greater Israel is at hand. Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially begun our strikes against the nation of Iran. We have been hearing about how they are weeks away from a nuclear bomb since before I was literally born. And we have been hearing about it as long as you can probably remember. And this weekend, we've officially gone back to policing the world. It's a very, if you were alive in the 2000s, America, fuck yeah. Going ahead to save the motherfucking day, yeah. I love this energy. It's very nostalgic for me. It's like the good old days. Very Bushian. I was a Bush baby, in case you don't know. 2000 to 2008, some very iconic years, at least for me as a child. If you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, the nation of Israel and Zionists around the world are rejoicing. This war is allowing Israel to claim its full territory as described in the ancient text. They will finally be able to have unchecked power, as Iran was pretty much the only nation on their turf that was really giving them a hard time that the U.S. couldn't really haggle with. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is dead. Didn't you hear about that? Ali, he has the same name as me, except I spell mine differently. I spell mine like the beer. It's fun. I like it. I like that spelling, because then people don't assume that I'm Middle Eastern. They go like, what are you? And I get to go, anything in the world, my guy. That's the beauty of it. I love being racially ambiguous, because then if I want, I can be a Jew. If I want, I can be a Mexican. It really depends on like what I want to sign up for when I join the NAACP. Iran is being shuffled around right now. Is this all pretext to what will eventually become World War III? Here's how I'm thinking that it's going to go. Judaism, in its form of the nation-state of Israel, will bring forth the next Armageddon, that when they believe that the Messiah has arrived. In case you do not know, in their ancient text, actually, it describes that the world will end and that the Messiah will come and destroy all of the enemies of Israel, all the enemies of the Jewish people in their eyes. I'm very nervous about that personally because I worry that even though the United States has been, let's call it an assistant to their rise to power, let's call it the reason for their rise to power over the last, let's say 80, 90 years. Yeah, that's a fair timeline. Sure. I can't go all the way back to the Balfour Declaration. Theodore Herzl, I understand that's when Zionism really gets its start. But like, I got to put this on a timeline for some people, folks. Using the ties to Jesuits, the Catholic Church has been an absolute psyop. The Pope is literally under the thumb of Masonic orders, and the Knights Templar are fix-it men for a grander system. The 13 families. Using the Catholic Church, they have convinced idiots in Middle America that those who bless Israel will be blessed. That's literally what these people will tell you. It's beyond what people are able to understand. They'll go, they're not even from the same religion, because they're not a religion, dummy. It's a business at the heart of it. The Vatican is a business. You have to understand that. It performs the acts of a religion, but it's all in order to strip as much money from you as possible. Martin Luther figured that out all the way back in the 16th century. And the Catholic Church has been illegitimate ever since they began to prioritize profits over the own people that pledge themselves to their religion. The Catholic Church, I'm sorry, I have my own issues with it, but like I don't have issues with people who practice it. But like I'm just letting them know about the origins of their church. Israel, if you don't know, is set to become an uncontested regional superpower because of this. I don't think you guys realize this. Maybe you do, because you're a worldly person with a view of the world that is, like, all-encompassing, and maybe I'm just telling you stuff you already know. But, guys, they can bomb whoever they want. They have nuclear weapons. They have American guarantees for safety. And we're their bitch. It's true. Zionism, it's founded on a failed principle also. If you look at the text, God promises Abraham, not the Israelis themselves, and he promises Abraham and his descendants to be the chosen people. He curses the Israelites actually after they reject God in Christ's form. He says, I will present you a version of me you will reject him, but then an anti-version of me, the Antichrist, will present himself, and you will accept. I'm not saying this is what I believe about the Jewish people. This is what the text says about the Jewish people in the Christian Bible, that the Jews will reject the first version of God, and then they will assume and accept the anti-version of him, the second Messiah. That is literally what it says in the text. I'm just quoting you what it says. I'm not trying to be anything like that. He actually says, once you've rejected my son, you've lost my favor. The children of the church are really his chosen people, and they aren't defined by having Jewish genes. That's ridiculous. It's an exclusionary policy. On just like the base notion. It's an exclusionary policy to say that you must have Jewish heritage in order to be a chosen people. That's ridiculous. Folks, Christian Zionism in general is a concept that many people, they don't need to, they shouldn't be forced to apologize for pointing out that it has some resemblance to a brain virus. You know what I mean? We treat it like no other country or people. Is that an unfair thing to point out? Does South Sudan, I love this question, have the same right to exist that the supposed nation of Israel does? The supposed notion that this nation exclusively has a right to exist. For what reason? Is it able to defend itself? Is its people independent in nature? Do they have enough to rely on their own? Because then I would say absolutely. America has enough to rely on its own. It has for enough time. It has for enough time, generations of people, to prove that it has enough to stand on its own 2 feet. So that makes it a nation. So it has to be recognized by other nations. Does Israel do that? I would argue probably not. I understand they have a booming tech sector, but they have it's New York City on the Mediterranean is how I've heard Tel Aviv described. I'm not going there for my vacation, but I've heard that it's very nice, at least if you look a certain way. I don't know. Let's make things clear and understandable, folks. There's a difference between deep state. When people go, the deep state is in control of things. It's like the basic order is it's Vatican Jesuits and the Chabad Lubavitch Orthodox Jews. They're working together. You don't even realize this. They're both doing the things where, what is religion? Religion at its heart is like esoteric knowledge where people, they induce ceremonies because they believe they're communicating with something grander. And in these ceremonies, with whatever they think they're communicating with, in reality, it's interdimensional aliens, People maybe aren't ready for that knowledge, but most of them they're called grays, but in reality, they're fourth dimensional creatures. And to these religious folks, they think of them as either demons or angels, which maybe. I mean, as far as we know, man's first interpretation of something in the fourth dimension, whatever, it could be to them angels or demons. They literally just have to make a word for it. Anyways, to give these people the orders, which is to demoralize the populace, don't reproduce, men, women, children, all of them, they're enemies, organized obedience is all that matters, and that's the message that these religious priests are getting from the rituals, and then they use the Freemasons, the Knights of Malta as fixers, and then they use the City of London, Wall Street, and the central banks as managers of their general order. That's the deep state, and then you go a layer below that, then you get to the shadow government, that's where you have politicians, senior bureaucrats, people. It's crazy when you look at the grand order of stuff, and then people will go, hey, are you being anti-Semitic by pointing out the grand order of stuff? No, it's Catholics too. Don't think that you Christians get a get-out-of-jail-free card because of this one, guys. Just because you pray to a cross doesn't mean that you're not polytheistic as heck. I mean, answer me this. How many saints do you pray to? Exactly. Christianity in its true form is monotheistic. Folks, I love this energy that we're bringing into Monday. It's high energy. It's because of the war. You know what I mean? The war's got us feeling, it's got us feeling a certain way. So I think that we should actually just go ahead and hop right into our first story because it's a doozy. Obviously, we're going to war and it's a Monday. So let's begin with this energy. Go. Ooh, strikes on Iran could last for 5 weeks, Trump says. How are the Iranians responding to the strikes? All of this and more. The Ayatollahs. This is interesting. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was confirmed dead, at least according to many reports. If you don't know anything about the Ayatollahs, if you don't know anything about the Islamic Revolution, the Islamic Republic, I can run down a brief history. We'll do that really quickly in order to make sure that everybody is relatively well informed. The Ayatollahs, they had a rise to power in Iran in 1979. They overthrew the monarchy of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. Excuse me, I'm trying to read these notes that I put beforehand. They established a theocratic Islamic republic. If you didn't know this, actually, it was very common knowledge that in the 1960s, that actually Islam and whatnot wasn't as heavily influenced on Iran. For sure, people were belonged to the Shia faith. For sure, people, whatever, they had certain devotions to their parties. Excuse me, the Shia and Sunni Muslims. There's a difference. The key difference we can't really get into right now, but a prominent Shia cleric, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, in the early 1960s, he emerged as a fierce critic of the Shah's Western-backed modernization efforts. And essentially, if you didn't know, Iran in the early days was actually very liberal. You saw women in little skirts, you saw the men like with very short short sleeves and whatnot. That nobody was as forced to dress as modestly as is known in the country today, where women literally are forced to cover up head to toe. It's ridiculous, but in my personal view, I'm not saying that their culture is ridiculous. I'm just saying, like, in my American view, I just think it's a little over the top to make women look like literally just a black thing, just cover it up. It's literally, what is it? It's I forget the names. Because it's early in the morning and I'm trying to remember the entire history of Iran. Anyways, these reforms, they had land redistribution, women's suffrage, secular policies that many religious leaders saw as eroding Islamic traditions in Iran. And granting too much influence to the United States, Khomeini spoke out in opposition and it led to his arrest in 1963. And sparked many protests. He was exiled in 1964, first to Turkey, then to Iraq, and then later to France in 1978. From exile, he continued rallying opposition through smuggling cassette tapes of his sermons and whatnot. He was a vintage podcaster, in all honesty. He built a massive following among Iranians that were frustrated with the economic inequity. They had political repression by the Shah's secret police, the SAVAK, the SAVAK. The perceived corruption in the government was wide. By late 1978, widespread discontent had boiled over into massive strikes, demonstrations, riots across Iran had broken out. A broad coalition, including religious conservatives, leftists, nationalists, and students, united against the Shah. As protests grew uncontrollable, the Shah appointed a moderate prime minister, but then he fled the country on January 16, 1979, into exile. Just 2 weeks later, on February 1st, 1979, Ayatollah Khomeini, not Ali, his father, Ruhollah, I can't remember how to pronounce it, returned triumphantly to Tehran. He was greeted by millions in the streets. He was quickly set up a parallel government. He appointed an interim prime minister and directed followers to ignore the remnants of the Shah's regime. On February 11th, 1979, the Iranian military declared neutrality. Collapsing old government, Khomeini consolidated clerical power rapidly. A referendum in April appointed an Islamic republic, and a new constitution adopted in December enshrined a Velayat-e-Faqih, guardianship of Islamic jurist, making Khomeini the supreme leader with ultimate authority over political and religious matters. The system placed the Ayatollahs, ranking Shia clerics at the helm, sidelining a lot of secular and leftist allies that had from the revolution, and establishing the theocratic rule that has governed Iran ever since, with Khomeini leading until his death in 1989, followed by successors like Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Folks, in general, that's the rundown of it, of how the Ayatollahs came to power. If you are curious about any further things, I can find stuff. Maybe I can put it in the description. But otherwise, it's your Americans most likely listening to this, and in all honesty, you're going to be hearing a lot about it on the news. So, without further ado, we need to cover about how the Middle East, it's entered a period of profound uncertainty following the launch of Operation Epic Fury. ABC News, a massive joint U.S.-Israeli military campaign that began this past Saturday. President Trump has stated that these strikes have already targeted hundreds of sites, including nuclear facilities, missile silos, and command centers. They could continue for up to 4 to 5 weeks. The administration has made it clear that the goal is not just a tactical denigration of Iran's military, but the total regime decapitation. That is a quote. Ooh, muy curiosity. Let's listen to this.
News strikes today stemming from the U.S. attack on Iran that killed Iran's supreme leader.
And we've seen airstrikes across the Middle East overnight, from Lebanon to Kuwait. 3 Americans have lost their lives. A new video overnight shows a U.S. fighter jet crashing in Kuwait, one of several American warplanes that have reportedly crashed in that country.
Shit.
Local officials say all crew members there were able to survive. It was not immediately clear what led to those crashes. President Trump spoke to ABC News overnight about how long this military operation could last, but he has not yet publicly answered questions about these attacks.
And the region is now engulfed in this conflict with attacks across the Persian Gulf states, including Qatar, where ABC's Marcus Moore begins our coverage this morning.
Hell yeah,
Marcus.
Marcus.
What is it like there right now on the ground?
Well, Faith and Hannah, good to be with you this morning. There's just so much happening here in the region. Here in Qatar, we got the new emergency alerts that went out to cell phones this morning, and we've heard more loud booms here in Doha.
What I love is that they did do that. They gave out a warning to like a bunch of the Israelis and the people at like the American embassies. They said, shelter in place. We just saved the world.
Those air defense interceptors intercepting projectiles. Meanwhile, overnight, President Trump indicated just how long the attacks on Iran could last. Overnight, President Trump giving new insight into the military action in Iran, telling ABC News the U.S. attacks could last 4 or 5 more weeks.
Sheesh.
His statement coming just hours after the announcement that 3 American service members were killed during an Iranian attack in Kuwait.
We grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, and sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is.
A lot of you are gonna die.
The U.S.
We're gonna figure it out.
More than 2,000 targets inside Iran Sunday. The second
Some
day
of you may die.
strikes. Central Command releasing new video showing the U.S. destroying what appear to be Iranian fighter jets, drones, and ballistic missile launchers, among other military targets.
The
Sick.
entire military command is gone as well.
You gotta admit, no matter what, even if you disagree with the war, this is like another opportunity for people to grandstand, people to go like, I was alive during Afghanistan and I disagreed with it then, or whatever. Like, some people, they didn't, and they're very proud of it, and they're whatever. It's like, it's an opportunity for people to have opinions about it, and people to graft onto this. Whatever you want to say about it, we're getting a Michael Bay movie every single morning. When your mom has the TV on and she's drinking her coffee and you're getting ready for school, God, I miss the Obama era. You know what I mean? When you would see like a drone strike or something. Oh, it was just a fun era to be alive. And then later in the Trump administration, you saw some of that. And, you know, it was just a fun time to be alive. It's when war is happening and your parents are entertained on the news every morning, it's a good time to be alive.
And many of them want to surrender into saving their lives.
Israel claims roughly half of Iran's ballistic missile launchers have now been destroyed. But Iran is responding. At least 9 people were killed when an Iranian missile hit this Israeli shelter in a synagogue. And at least 5 others were killed across the Persian Gulf states as Iran deployed missiles and drones at military and civilian targets. A drone blasting this residential building in Bahrain.
Bahrain.
Video from the building shows the moment of impact.
Whoo!
In Dubai, this luxury hotel going up in flames. In Qatar,
I don't know if anybody else saw this, but when I heard about Dubai getting hit, I saw a video. I looked on TikTok and I was like, "Holy shit! The Burj Khalifa got hit." But then apparently that was AI. Apparently Sora has gotten so good that it can convince many people that the Burj Khalifa has been hit in a terrorist attack. I don't think it has, and I don't know why they would target it. But whatever.
people running for their lives. You
Yep.
can see the air defense interceptors going into the area in those bright flashes of orange, and you can also hear the loud booms. This is what we've been hearing
The loud
in Doha
booms.
all day today. In Kuwait, those 3 American service members who were killed were reportedly part of a unit overseeing supplies and logistics. 5 others were injured.
Damn.
And inside Iran, the death toll is rising, with more than 1,000 people reportedly killed since the U.S. and Israeli attacks began Saturday.
Shit.
State media claims an airstrike on this girls' school left more than 153 people dead, including students. The U.S. is investigating.
And they go, Iranians embed themselves with little girls. They're gonna get some of those little girls on like the news on CNN, and it's gonna be like an interview done with, I don't know, they're gonna get Ellen to come out of retirement or something, because her image is not as bad as everybody else in the files right now. So it's perfect time to bring her back. Give her a show on CNN, because what is his name? Al Anderson Cooper's leaving, so give her his time slot. Bring on a few of these girls from this school and say that have them say Iranian, Persian terrorists. They'll say in Farsi, and then they'll have a translator say to Ellen in her ear, "Oh my gosh, these Iranian terrorists, they were embedding themselves, and I'm glad the United States struck our school."
Insisting it would never deliberately attack civilians. Iranians taking to the streets, some celebrating, others mourning the death of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei.
Khamenei
Was killed in a strike Saturday. The CIA had been tracking the 86-year-old for months. Sources say agents learned about a meeting of top leaders with the Ayatollah planned for Saturday, prompting the U.S. and Israel to strike. President Trump over the weekend justifying the attack.
They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles.
Long range.
Question whether Iran
I don't know why he does that. He stresses random words and phrases.
posed an imminent threat, saying the country was far from acquiring the resources needed to build a nuclear weapon, especially after the strikes on nuclear facilities back in June. President Trump acknowledged the new strikes are to some degree preemptive.
We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. We're doing this not for now, we're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission.
Yep.
And President Trump says the new petition...
I love that we're doing Mission Accomplished Part 2. We're doing it, guys. It's going to be fun. And then a couple months, maybe a couple weeks, if they're intelligent about it. From now, we're going to get him on an aircraft carrier in San Francisco Bay with a big sign saying Mission Accomplished 2. And then it's going to be him going, "Ladies and gentlemen, we did it."
Potential leaders of Iran have indicated that they want to talk, and we saw the Interim Leadership Council meeting this weekend, but Trump did not elaborate on plans for any future U.S. negotiations.
Shit. Well, I actually want to review a couple of his remarks that he's given. Let's go with his speech that he gave the day that we attacked, because I remember watching this, and I think a lot of people will remember where they were when they first saw this.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
Did he just mispronounce imminent? He just said eminent.
Vicious group of very hard, terrible people.
Terrible people.
Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed.
Why does he blend some words together? It's creepy.
Death to America, and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died.
I love that he just throws some stuff. They were involved in and probably knew about this back in 20 years ago, so they have to die now.
Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror. We're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts.
What?
And it was Iran's proxy, Hamas, that launched the monstrous October 7th attacks on Israel, slaughtering
Israel.
more than 1,000 innocent people, including 46 Americans, while taking 12 of our citizens hostage. It
12.
was brutal.
Brutal.
Something like the world has never seen before.
I love it.
Iran
Something like the world has never seen before. I love it.
is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror,
The world has seen Genghis Khan, but this is worse.
and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon.
For sure.
That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't.
They need to stop with the bullshit. I love it. He's just bullshitting. He just like, they wanted to do it, they didn't do it.
Want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil.
I don't think you know what's happening.
But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore.
And we can't.
Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the...
You suddenly care a lot about our very good friends in Europe. You have been the last person to give a shit about any of this. What happened to America first? This is America last.
American homeland. Just imagine how emboldened this regime would be if they ever had and actually were armed with nuclear weapons.
The fact that you have to ask us to imagine something in order to justify a war.
As a means to deliver their message. For these reasons, the United States military has undertaken a massive...
Or should I say, oy vey.
...ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship.
He throws in a wicked reference because he knows that it's popular.
From threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs as they are sometimes called to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans.
Indeed.
And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very simple message.
Very simple. Yes, exactly. It's a simple message for simpletons.
A nuclear weapon.
Never.
This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces.
Nope, they're cooked.
I built and rebuilt our military in my first administration, and there is no military on earth even close to its power, strength, or sophistication.
I thought you said Biden ruined it.
My administration has taken every possible step to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel in the region. Even so, and I do not make this statement lightly, the Iranian regime seeks to kill.
And I do not make this statement lightly.
The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties.
Yep.
That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future. And it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way.
We ask
and we
God.
trust that, with His help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail. We have the greatest
God bless
in the world,
Bibi Netanyahu.
and we will prevail. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight, that you must lay down your weapons and have
I love
complete
this part.
immunity.
I love this
Or
part where okay guys, this is my favorite part because he is holding out for you guys, the Iranian people, to hide in your homes, to sacrifice, and if you are a part of the armed forces, lay down your weapons because we're taking
the
over.
alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand.
Yes.
Stay sheltered.
Stay
Don't leave
sheltered.
your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
I love
This
that
will
line.
be probably your only chance for generations.
This is Hunger
For
Games.
many years you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure
Now
they
you have a
weren't.
president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond.
Let's see how you
America is
respond.
backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action.
I love it.
Do not let it pass.
Yep.
May God bless the brave men and women of America's
Of Israel.
armed forces. May God bless the United States
Of
America.
Israel.
May God bless you all.
May
Thank
God
you.
bless you guys. How is Iran responding? On the ground, the reaction deeply divided, difficult to track due to severe internet blackouts. State-aligned groups have held an angry anti-aggression rally in, according to them, there's anti-aggression rallies in Tehran, and there are reports of renewed student protests and quiet celebrations in pockets of the country where anti-regime sentiment has been simmering since January crackdowns on protests. President Trump has addressed the Iranian people directly in the video, telling them that the country is, quote, now theirs to take. Yes, the global community, they're now bracing for the economic and humanitarian fallout. Yeah, there's going to be some Iranians that are pouring into other nations nearby. Do I assume that it's going to result in a massive migration towards us? I don't know. It happens with any war. You know what I mean? It's always a few. I doubt that maybe your grocer is going to have a couple more Iranians. But hey, no, the Persians are pretty cool. They speak Farsi. It's a beautiful language.
Tonight, the images from inside Iran. Widespread demonstrations across the country after news broke the supreme leader was killed, along with more than 40 of Iran's leaders. Protesters shouting death to America, while others in Iran are now quietly celebrating, sharing their hope for a new future.
T.
Here's Martha Raddatz tonight.
Martha Raddatz.
The deadly strikes in Iran prompted immediate celebrations in the streets and in the privacy of Iranian homes. But today, tens of thousands of tearful mourners gathered in Tehran's main square, pounding their chests, waving flags, and throughout the country, many shouting death to America. This man called the attacks on the regime shocking news that really fills one with anger, full of hatred towards Israel and America.
Try your
who
best,
must defend
bitches.
The blood of the leader. The Iranian foreign
I'd like to
minister
see you
today
fuckers in
insisting
North
to
Dakota.
ABC News
You ain't gonna
that
be
the
invading
deaths of
nowhere.
military leaders will make little difference to Iran's military capabilities.
This is exactly what happened last time. They killed some of our top commanders, but they were replaced very soon, and in less than 12 hours, we were able to start retaliation.
No matter what the foreign minister says, taking out 40 of the top leadership means that most of the units in the field are operating independently and without centralized direction.
What I like is that there's people that in the center square of Tehran and whatnot, and it's like death to America, death to Israel and whatnot. Death to Israel, they should take that seriously and whatnot. But when someone who lives in Seattle or like Idaho or like Michigan, Wisconsin hears that threat, what are they supposed to think? Are they supposed to think, oh my God, my city capital is going to blow up or whatnot. It's never going to happen. So, when one hears that, you're supposed to just giggle, in all honesty. That's exactly why you go just like, try it, fuckers. You're just not going to do anything. You're losers who sit around maybe. This is, by the way, a paid group. This is a paid group of people who are sitting. They're paid by the government. They are like, we will freeze your rent, like the Zora Mamdani in New York actually promised to. But if you have to pound your chest and you have to say that you feel bad that the leader is dead. That is what this group is formulated of. It's not a legit opposition. It's whatever. Anyways.
For decades, the threat of a nuclear-armed Iran has loomed over the Middle East.
Sure.
After years of stop-start negotiations, sanctions, and even attempts to sabotage Iran's nuclear program, a diplomatic breakthrough finally came in 2015.
A comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
We were there when the deal was announced.
These people are so happy that these punishing sanctions...
I love that this reporter has to wear the scarf. She has to cover herself up because even though she's an American, even though she's a Westerner, she has to abide by their laws.
will eventually be lifted.
Cover up, woman.
But the deal drew criticism, and President Trump withdrew the U.S. from the pact in 2018.
We have not been here since Donald Trump was elected and pulled the U.S. out of the nuclear deal, and what a difference we have seen.
Today in Tehran, there is little to celebrate. With the sanctions back in place, the Iranian economy is in dramatic distress. After Trump scrapped the deal, the Iranians ramped up the enrichment of uranium.
Indeed they did.
With the threat looming large again, the U.S. pounded Iranian nuclear facilities just last summer.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
But the administration said that turned out not to be entirely true, which led to this new wave of strikes.
Love it. It's like, we got them all, guys. Don't worry about it. Well, actually, later next year, we're going to have to... Actually, early next year, we're going to have to do some more strikes.
The deadly conflict between the U.S. and Iran is a far cry from the years when Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi enjoyed close ties with America and attempted to build a modern, secular state.
Our relationship with Iran was very cozy, close.
Better than it is now.
Diplomatic, security level.
But when the Shah was overthrown in the 1979 revolution, Iran suddenly transformed into an Islamic state hostile to the West, headed by Ayatollah Khomeini. During this period of turmoil, Ali Khamenei quickly rose through the leadership ranks in Iran.
Ali Khamenei was very much a product of Iran's religious class. He was a close student and later became a confidant of Ayatollah Khomeini.
There you go.
Following Ayatollah Khomeini's death in 1989, his one-time protege ascended to the position of supreme leader of Iran.
I don't think anybody would have predicted that
one-time protege, not son.
For so long, and he did so ruthlessly, dividing opposition.
Working closely with Iran's feared Revolutionary Guard, Khamenei ruthlessly crushed any challenges to the regime. He deployed soldiers against his own people in 2025, sparked by the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, arrested for allegedly violating the rules for wearing a head cover.
She was taken into custody and apparently beaten ruthlessly by plainclothes police officers.
Well, quite frankly, given where she lived, should have known better, I guess. I mean, guys, it's their country, their laws. She wore the scarf wrong. The women are they are subordinate. They are not equal to the men in that country. You know, it's just the way that they do things. Respect the culture, man. Are you like Islamophobic or some shit?
And ultimately died in hospital.
Are you Islamophobic? Are you saying she didn't deserve to die? God, you sound like some Islamophobe because you don't think this girl deserved to die.
Set off a wave of protests that lasted many months.
The protests were put down. Some 500 people were killed. There were many arrests.
But that crackdown paled in comparison to the one unleashed by Khamenei after the most recent wave of protests launched in December.
Yeah, they were just blasting bitches in the street.
People who have been struggling financially for the last 15 years were irate over the government's mismanagement of the national economy. The Islamic Republic wielded such incredible, brutal force, killing an untold number of people. Estimates put it in the high thousands to the mid tens of thousands.
Woo.
A remarkable scene continuing to unfold in Iran. Martha Raddatz with us here tonight. And
I love it. Folks, I mean, it's pretty curious. It's an interesting time to be alive. It's always an interesting time to be alive when there's a regime change. I'm sure that you'll be around to tell your children about this, is what I hope. You know what I mean? I know that Ali Khamenei definitely will not be anytime soon. That's unfortunate for him. What's his legacy? Let's hear from the Associated Press.
Iran's supreme leader, the 86-year-old Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead.
Ali.
That's according to reports on both Iranian state television and its IRNA state-run news agency. He was the target of joint American-Israeli airstrikes that have just pummeled at Iran over the last 24 hours. Now, his death is going to set up a new moment for Iran. Iran has only had two supreme leaders so far. The Ruhollah Khomeini, who led the 1979 revolution, and Khamenei, who came into power in 1989 and led Iran through decades of tensions with the United States over its nuclear program, as well as its support for proxies in the wider Middle East.
Love that that's the legacy.
Theory, Iran should have an assembly of clerics come together to pick a new supreme leader.
Yeah.
However, that has not been announced yet, and it remains unclear whether Iran would be able to do that, given the fact that it remains under this American and Israeli airstrike campaign. This also calls into question the calls by U.S. President Donald Trump for the Iranian people to rise up and take back their government, a direct call for Iran to overthrow its theocracy.
Sheesh.
We've not seen any unrest in the streets that would signal that such a move is underway, but the death of Khamenei had been celebrated overnight when initial reports came out with people cheering in the streets. But for now, Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard and its armed forces maintain control of the Islamic Republic, but Iran is facing a new chapter in its long history.
It's sad that my favorite Disney song has to end this way. Ayatollah Ali, fabulous Ali Khamenei. He's an iconic figure, unfortunately. Man, sorry to Iran, you lost a real one. I hope our airstrike on you doesn't go as long as anybody. I hope it doesn't go another day. I don't want anybody to die. Who wants people to die? That's not fun. That's not fun. I'm getting eggs in the morning. You know what I mean? I just want to think about that. I don't want to think about how the eggs are cheaper because we're blowing up kids in the Middle East. No one wants to think about that. That's not what we pay our taxes to do, ladies and gentlemen. What else is there to say about it? I don't know. We're actually going to go ahead and we're going to move on to our final few stories and whatnot, because this is obviously the war special. This is the war with Iran special. It's a Monday. It's not a usual day. We're actually we're gonna shake shit up. We're gonna put out an episode that's mostly about our first story because the first story is so goddamn important. Admittedly, the second story, like compared to going to war with Iran, sounds like nothing, but it's still pretty goddamn bad. 2 dead, according to this latest reporting about a shooter in Austin on 6th Street. If you know about 6th Street, it's a very iconic area of Austin, whatever, there's a shooting and people are dead, but like compared to war with Iran, who, like, honestly, it's pretty little, but like that's exactly why I dedicated so much time to the first story. Anyways, folks, let's go ahead and let's actually, we'll cover more with the war, I'm guessing, as stuff goes on. That's just how it goes with when you're doing on the ground reporting with just what's coming out, you know what I mean? So we will inform you as time continues. Join us for the rest of the week. Subscribe if you want more updates on the war with Iran. They will always probably be our first stories. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin our second one, as a matter of fact. 2 dead and more than a dozen injured in a Boston bar mass shooting, police say. This is what a fun article way of voicing it. A night of music and socializing turned into a scene of chaos in downtown Austin early this morning. At approximately 1:30 a.m., gunfire erupted inside a crowded bar in the popular 6th Street Entertainment District, leaving 2 people dead and at least 14 others injured. God damn. Austin Police Department officials report that the shooter opened fire in a densely packed area, sending hundreds of bystanders diving for cover and sparking a frantic scramble for the exits. Emergency responders arrived within minutes to a chaotic and heartbreaking scene, according to the interim police chief, Robin Henderson. Officers and bystanders reportedly used shirts and belts to make makeshift tourniquets to stem the bleeding of wounded peoples before paramedics could stabilize them. Of the 14 injured, several remain in critical condition at the Del Seton Medical Center, while others are being treated for non-life-threatening gunshot wounds or injuries sustained at during the stampede to escape the building. The Austin Police Department has launched a massive investigation currently centered on reviewing a high-definition surveillance footage from the bar and surrounding businesses. While a person of interest has been identified, no official arrests have been made, and a motive remains unclear. Police are urging anyone with a cell phone video or information regarding the lead-up to the shooting to come forward as they work to determine if it was a targeted attack or a dispute that escalated to a mass casualty event. Let's hear, this is not like this is supposed to be a fun show. We're supposed to make jokes. We're supposed to whatever. This is not a fun story. I mean, I know no one's trying to make it such. You know what I mean? This sucks. So let's. How am I supposed to continue this story? Let's hear Ken's 5, your San Antonio news source. Take it away before I just run this into the ground.
Our top story, the FBI is investigating a possible terror attack in Austin. A gunman killed 2 people, and then police shot and killed the suspect. Later, officials searched his home, finding an Iranian flag and pictures of Iranian leaders.
Oh.
Online record.
Well, okay. The moment I hear this, I go, this is a psyop, this is fake, this isn't real. But maybe, no, I'm not saying the shooting's not real. I'm saying the suspect's home is not real. I'm not about to Alex Jones this. Guys, do not. When I say this is not real, you can't take me out of context because you're like, oh, I want to... I don't think that this shooter was genuinely motivated by Iran or by Iranian. This feels CIA set up. I'm not saying this is the case. I am saying that according to what I know about prior shooters, what I know about prior, what we like to call patsies, what we like to call Manchurian candidates, all these sorts of things that we know exist via MKUltra, via actual government files that they're not even classified. You can find all this. It's not hard. It's literally declassified on DOJ websites, all this shit. It's not difficult to find out that your government has sleeper agents. It's not that the United States, the numbers are definitely limited. Russia has an army of them. China has an army of them. It's true. These Manchurian candidates embed themselves. I don't know that this is an Iranian actual candidate. I believe this maybe to be, you know what, maybe we need to hear more details because this is deeply curious. I immediately, when I hear, I'm going to play it back for you so that you can put on your detective goggles, I don't know, whatever they're called, and you can listen to that statement. Given the war with Iran, they want Americans thinking, there's crazy Iranians all throughout your neighborhoods and whatnot. And admittedly, it could be this. Admittedly, this could be because there are terrorists that are embedded all throughout the United States. This is not a lie either. All throughout our airports, our borders, every single day, we let people through that are actually, whatever we call them, not sleeper agents, but they are people who are tasked with getting a job. They're tasked with living as just immigrants in their community. And then one day, because of their jihad fulfillment, they're tasked with putting on a bomb and going into a mall. That, admittedly, that is, there are some people, there is this massive campaign that nobody knows about, that a lot of people don't really know about. Admittedly, you talk to people when it comes to underground knowledge of what Iran and whatnot has been talking about. Apparently, after 9/11, after Osama bin Laden promised something that would dwarf 9/11. Iran, other projects in the Middle East began to get started where they would create these individuals that were tasked with living among Americans, living among them and whatnot. Sometimes they would be Americans taken at birth, from their parents, with their parents' permission and whatnot, maybe with a financial payment or something along the lines to get them on the side, taken into Iran, made sympathetic to their military's causes. This is true. You can find this in declassified documents, like I've said. And they were tasked with living in America until they are given some level of an activation or some level of like, we're gonna text you this code one day, and that's gonna be your code to go out in there and fulfill this. I don't know which case is the case here, but let's just pay attention. Let's do
Our
this.
top story, the FBI is investigating a possible terror attack in Austin. A gunman killed 2 people, and then police shot and killed the suspect. Later, officials searched his home, finding an Iranian flag and pictures of Iranian leaders.
Doesn't this feel too perfect for right after the war begins? I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe this is the sleeper agents being activated. Maybe this is, just the CIA trying to pin an Iranian crazy on like some guy who just really was unhappy with life, maybe on SSRIs and shot up a bar. You know what I mean? Whichever it is, I don't know what it is.
Online records show the suspect once lived in San Antonio. Jason Allen is in Austin with the latest.
Where is it? Video shows people taking cover inside a bar as a gunman fired shots toward them from the window of an SUV.
Holy.
Then, police said he parked and got out with a rifle and started firing again. Within less than a minute, 3 police officers patrolling the busy entertainment district shot and killed the gunman. Paramedics immediately started trying to save the lives of the 19 people shot. 2 of them died.
God
3
damn.
more were in critical condition. Sources identified the shooter to CBS News as Indiaga Diagne, a natural...
Inyaga Diagne. And you can find his profile picture, mugshot in the description on the video titled, what is it? Everything we know about the mass shooting on 6th Street. There we go. He's exactly what you'd assume.
Sources identified the shooter to CBS News as Indiaga Diagne, a naturalized U.S. citizen originally from Senegal.
There were indicators.
Senegal. I like it. It could be, it's like a fun area, right? Like, I like that. I heard that they are deep into the spice trade and shit like that.
That on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism.
The gunman was wearing a sweatshirt.
What does a Senegalese man know or care really about the Iranian people or the Iranian leaders? What does he care?
That said property of Allah and had a Quran in his vehicle. Investigators searching his home.
He had a Quran in his vehicle. Guys, this is too perfect. This is too perfect. He's literally not, he's not from Iran. He's from Senegal, a country, by the way, if you're not big on geography, in West Africa. It is the length of the European continent away from the country of Iran. It is a fair distance. It's the entire Euro-North African steppe, and the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. All that's bullshit. Iran is a decent ways away from Senegal. Where would this Senegalese gentleman have been radicalized to care really at all about the state of Iran? Or at least enough to the point about Islam, like care enough about Islam to think that, oh yeah, the state of Iran is being challenged, now it's time that I have to go shoot up a bar. Who is thinking that? Who does? In all honesty, guys, does this scream a legitimate, real thing that something as a person would do to you? I don't think so.
An Iranian flag and pictures of Iranian leaders, according to officials close to the investigation.
This is what keeps the intelligence community up
Wow.
at night. Not people directly associated with terrorist groups, but people who become inspired because of things that are happening in the world.
Oh, sure. Right?
Listen out.
As investigators work to understand what led to the attack, cell phone video captures the moments Austin police shot and killed the suspect. We do want to warn you this video is graphic, but we will show you an edited version. Check it out. The suspect is on the left side of the screen. Police approach him from the right. Several shots are fired, and within seconds, the shooter is down. We're now hearing from the UT student who recorded this video. Nathan Como, a senior at UT Austin, was on 6th Street celebrating a friend's 21st birthday at Buford's, and he says the police was
Happy birthday to you.
Rather shoulder to shoulder with UT students.
Damn.
He says just minutes before the shooting began, he walked across the street to grab a slice of pizza and didn't realize a shooting was happening until the suspect's second round of gunfire.
Damn.
With the second round, he was walking towards me. He was walking back towards Buford's. So I'm really grateful the police got there in time.
God damn, that's freaky. That's terrifying.
Breaking news out of Texas this morning. We are now learning law enforcement officials are investigating an overnight shooting as a possible act of terror. The shooting outside a bar in Austin's busy East 6th Street area left 3 people dead, 14 others injured.
And like I've said, when I question the legitimacy of anything, I'm not questioning whether or not people have died. I'm not unless I call out whether, like when it comes to Epstein, I'm not even sure that he's dead anymore. I think that he's alive and well in Tel Aviv. You can question me all you want on that. I have the evidence. I have the files to prove it. I can prove it to you. Anyways, when it comes to me questioning the legitimacy of this shooting, I'm not questioning whether or not these people died. Obviously, people fucking died. What I'm questioning about this, and you have to put me in context if you want to gripe with me about anything that I say, and what you know what I mean. If you want to go in the comments and go, "Oh, you're wrong about this. Iran is not going to fall. Sharia law is not going to fall." By the way, I called that. It's one of my most it's my most popular video by far. Is my video called "Iran is collapsing and so will Sharia law," and I got so many comments on it that were like, "Bullshit, fuck you." You have to give me context before anything else. I am questioning the legitimacy of this shooter's relation to Iran. That's all I'm questioning. I'm not questioning whether or not people died. I think people died. Jesus.
3 of them in critical condition.
Can't
this
Alex
morning.
Jones me.
Investigators holding a news conference just moments ago.
There were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism. It's still too early to make a determination on that. That's why we're investigating it very closely with our partners with Austin Police Department.
Blah, blah, blah.
And for more on this, we're going to bring in ABC's Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas. Pierre, as we just heard there, the FBI saying that there were indicators of a possible nexus to terrorism. And this comes as we know there is an elevated threat environment and heightened security across the country.
This is literally ABC News. This is Goyslop. This is them pre-programming you in order to get ready for some terrorist attacks. It's not going to be everywhere, admittedly, but maybe there'll be one that shows up, blah, 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 in this state over here, this state over here. It's pre-programming. It's getting you ready for whatever's going to happen. It's unfortunate. I hope that this doesn't happen, but it's kind of giving that. It's giving that.
The scenario that played out is both stunning and scary. They described the suspect driving up in a large SUV, firing out the window at people on the street, then at some point parking the vehicle, exiting the vehicle, and then continuing to fire his weapon. With so many injured, as you saw, and 3 dead before being killed himself by the police. Obviously, there were things, again, to quote the FBI official, there were things on his person and in his vehicle that point to terrorism. We're in the process of digging into that, trying to find out more details about precisely what that was. But
it was the Quran. It's not even subtle anymore. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you can determine whether or not you think this is a government psyop, whether or not you think this is a legitimate Iranian terrorist sleeper cell. You can make your determinations, and you can argue about it at Easter or St. Patrick's Day, whichever one you see your family at. Depends on whether or not you're Irish. Ladies and gentlemen, let's cover the rapid-fire section of today's headlines. Lots of stuff that you need to know about. Keep your media diet healthy. I can't dedicate 10, 20, 40 minutes to every single topic. So, we are going to cover a few here and there. Ladies and gentlemen, there are global protests against U.S.-Israeli actions. If you don't know, especially in Iran, the U.S. and Europe, Middle East, they are unfolding in opposition to the strikes with pro-Iranian. I saw this, by the way, in southern Minneapolis. There are massive protests breaking out. In a lot of downtowns of other cities, they're breaking out. It's ridiculous. It's cool. I understand that you can be against it, you can be whatever, but it's chilly. What are you doing? It's so cold outside. Why are you protesting and making everybody's day a headache? No one wants to see you out there. They want you to go to the liquor store and sell them some Busch Light. Ladies and gentlemen, also Russia and Saudi Arabia are urging diplomatic caution over the Iranian escalation. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman held talks expressing serious concern over potential escalation from the war with Iran into broader conflict, calling for diplomatic resolution and the cessation of hostilities to stabilize the region. Of course they'd want that. The EU is also responding to Middle East turmoil with a strategic planning. European leaders are actively coordinating responses to the Middle East conflict, including plans for gas supply security, meetings, and discussion on humanitarian impacts. I love how that's the second thing. They're like, we have to make sure the gas supply is solid. The oil from the Middle East, as we know, Iran is like one of the core pillars of that. We got to make sure that our gas reserves are doing well. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has stressed that a lasting resolution requires credible political transition in Iran. So she's calling for a transition of power as well. Very cool. France has announced large nuclear deterrence role. I thought it's France, and it's the word deterrence. It looks French, so I just wanted to pronounce it that way. Amid the heightened global instability, French President Emmanuel Macron has unveiled plans to boost France's nuclear arsenal and explore advanced deterrence cooperation with the EU partners. Interesting. Global attention turns to Italy's constitutional referendum. Italy is preparing for a constitutional referendum on its judicial reform, scheduled from March to the 22nd to the 23rd, which could reshape the judiciary structure, the outcome that could have long-lasting effects on Italy's governance and institutional balance. Very, very fun. Argentina's president is calling for deeper strategic ties with the U.S. Of course he is. President Javier Milei delivered a major address to Congress advocating for a permanent strategic alliance with the United States, framing it is essential for Argentina's security and economic reform agenda. There's security elevating amid Nigeria's response to global tensions also. Nigerian authorities have heightened security around religious and public centers to prevent spillover unrest from global conflicts, particularly in response to turmoil related to the Iran situation, while also dismissing rumors of alleged poisoning plots targeting President Bola Tinubu. I love it. Very, very fun. We can read our final headline, and then actually I'll go ahead and I will reserve our next story for tomorrow, because admittedly, this timeline, it's gone so long. We're going to war. Everybody's already tired. They don't need an hour, 30-minute broadcast from me today. Ladies and gentlemen, we will cover our last headline. South Korea and the United States announce a joint military drill. Very fun. In Asia, the United States and South Korea confirmed their annual Freedom Shield military exercises designed to enhance deterrence against North Korean threats and support the transition of wartime operational control amid heightened security concerns in the region. Very, very, very fun. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you had a very fun time listening to these headlines as much as I had fun putting them together. Honestly, we had such a good time covering how we're going to war. We're going to cover more as it comes out. Honestly, this is not the last you're going to hear about it from me. We're going to hear about it more this week as this week continues, honestly. It's going to be fun. Hold on to your hats, because war is always a time of mixed. It's a mixed bag, because sometimes you have to ration your coffee beans. Sometimes gas is cheaper. There are trade-offs to every situation in life. I was taught that it is important to see the silver lining to each cloud. It's important to find the good in everything that could be considered world-ending, that could be potentially disastrous for the human race. You have to see the positives in everything. And what I think the positive is in this is that together we are building a greater understanding of the true nature of the world with Epstein, with the Freemasons, with the Judeo-Christian alliance unraveling in the Middle East, on display, you know what I mean, Christian Zionism being questioned largely by the right. It's a curious time to be alive. You're watching many factions debate with themselves. The LGBTQ all hate each other. In case you don't know, the LG and the B wish it was a time where it was just those three, and it's like the T and the Q, they were off doing their own thing. It's like there's a war going on. Honestly, if you're not on the internet, you just don't know about it. But it's a time of conflict, and that's what I'm trying to say, is that no matter where you are, is that people are just angry for some reason. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring a sense of stability to that. I'm trying to just go, hey, we're just trying to have fun here. We're just trying to chill, and we're just trying to vibe. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you will subscribe, ring the bell to vibe with me some more as we cover the war. So like if you liked it, you know what I mean? Ring the bell because that gives you notifications. But in the meantime, this has been Ollie Vogt Larson with your Brain on Air. Thank you so very much for listening. I will catch you in tomorrow's broadcast, and bye-bye.